7-second delay. No. What you see is what you get.
Okay.
It is as it is.
We are live.
Alright.
Hello, everyone. Yes, look at this. This is a really swanky setup. Yeah. We're really doing the thing. Whatever the thing happens to be.
The thing, we're doing it.
So that's there. I would love to be able to pause that so it's not killing my number. There we go. So I think we're good to go, actually. Hello, everyone. I know I'm going live just straight out, and there's no one watching. So it doesn't matter.
That's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to just go ahead and sit here for a few moments.
Live to the universe.
Yeah.
Why
And
not Jay
we'll-
will be on? Jay's always watching.
yeah, absolutely. Jay will be here any second now. The other problem is these stats are never accurate.
JB.
So we will just talk for a little bit. How's Star City? What do y'all think of Star City?
Well, hanging out with you
Star
guys has
City.
been the best part so far.
Oh,
But-
thank you.
I have to say likewise. This has been awesome.
It is.
It's certainly a question of peoples versus necessarily how Star City sometimes is.
Okay.
So
How could Star City sometimes be?
it can be not very crowded this time.
Yeah.
Yes.
The collective Star City experience in this room is incredible.
Mhm.
This is my second or third?
Third, I think.
Third.
Yeah. Mhm.
But you guys have been to a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Alright.
Every single one. This is the seventh?
6? 7?
I think it's 7.
6 or 7?
Yeah.
Wow, has it been
That's
many years?
No, the first one was 2015, February 2015.
Oh, okay.
So
Alright.
this is 5.
5. Okay.
No, I could have sworn last year was 5 because they had a thing where at the very
I
first
know.
one they had laid out a big piece of fabric and everyone who was there at the first one signed it. And I could have sworn that I asked Logan about it last year. So I at least thought that last year was 5.
And the
Yeah,
only
I was
reason I
wrong.
say is because it was exactly 2 months after my wife was split up. So 2015.
So you might know that.
So you
yeah.
know what the year
I know,
was.
and when I left today, I have all my con badges hanging off of nail,
Oh.
and I flipped through to see when the first Star City was,
When it
and it was
was.
February 2015.
Huh.
I keep
Alright,
all my
there we
con
go.
badges on a
That's
hook.
awesome.
So you
That's a
can
good
kind of
idea.
look through
Like-
and stuff.
What did I do?
See, that's really cute. We keep them around the house until I get sick of them. It's like, okay, these are taking up space. Garbage.
Yeah.
Do you even keep the lanyard?
Yeah.
If I want a lanyard, I can go buy a lanyard for $3.
Snare for small. It's reusable. String hits.
Why didn't I think of that? Gosh.
They're water resistant. They're water absorbent. They're super absorbent.
It's the Sham Wow. Who can ask for more?
Do you go to cons besides Star City?
So far I've been.
You said you had them hanging from a nail.
And
Is it just Star City things hanging from the nail?
No,
Like,
it's
man, I
Star
love
City.
Star City so
Nailed
much.
to the wall through the middle. It's been a few tries.
Okay. Mhm.
So it's the collected
Mm,
resources of all that.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other ones that I've been to.
Okay. Yeah, I have a stack. I've kept, I think, everyone.
Wow.
You were gonna make something out of them at one point.
Yes,
Oh,
I was gonna make samurai armor out of all of my
Samurai
badges.
armor.
Oh,
that
Um,
would be.
Yeah. What happened to that?
I will show you afterwards what happened to that. I started it, and I made like the first 2 rows, and it doesn't look anything like samurai armor. Like, I couldn't figure out
Because
a
it's made out
way.
of combat
made out of-
boots, or because you don't know how to
Yeah.
samurai.
Both. That was the problem. Is I couldn't figure out a way to make them without like cutting them up
Right.
and like completely reassembling them.
So you could make scale mail if you made little tiny scale
Mhm,
mails.
yes.
To make tiny scales.
It just looked like a shirt with a bunch of badges hanging on
I mean, you
it, which just kind of looked weird.
That's a great cosplay.
Yeah.
What are you? I'm a con guard. I'm a badger.
Badger.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You
So-
could say you're a confidence man.
Okay.
So what was the final note then? So this is year 4 then, or
This must be
This
year
is at
5.
least 5.
This is 5.
well, so then
15,
have we
16,
asked
17,
about what
19,
happened to
20.
the giant?
No, this would be
bear?
6.
Yeah.
15.
Well,
15.
well,
15,
I
16,
asked
17,
I asked
18,
Logan about
19,
it
20.
last year.
This is
Oh
number
my
6.
God, this is 6.
Yeah.
15. 16,
Yes.
17, 18,
Okay.
19, 20.
Okay.
Yep.
So that makes things
Damn.
sense.
Because we
Yeah.
absolutely
Because I'm
all
looking at
signed it.
15,
Yeah.
20, and it's like,
Yes.
that's fine.
Counting 15. Yeah. So this
Math
was
is hard.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I did ask Logan about it last
Mm.
year, and she said that somebody else had it who isn't working with them anymore. or
Okay, so we'll never see
something.
it again.
So we'll never see it
So,
again.
so they're gonna say, why am I keeping this in
Yeah.
Which is
Throw it
really
away.
sad.
Yep.
in
Moving
the
on.
street?
Yeah, I was excited to see
Well,
things from it.
If you've been to every year, then it's like,
Ah, we went to the moon. Why do we need to keep these
Yeah.
things?
Why go back?
These rocks?
Yeah. Hey, Solid. Good to see you.
Who's here?
Who's
Do we
on?
have
Solid
Brendan?
Cumby is here.
Some zombie.
Hey. Hey, hey.
Hello from everybody.
Exactly.
Where are
Do we have a confidential?
Wait. There we go.
Oh,
There we go.
Hello.
And there's
Wish
the
you were
thumbnail
here.
right there. So, yep. So we're here at Star City, just talking about Star City and having fun.
Confidence return because I can see where
Yeah, exactly.
Hello.
It makes me confident too. So,
She's
yeah.
only filming from my good side. I'm ready for my close up.
Mhm.
Which side is not my good side?
Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, I love Star City.
So we've come to the collective conclusion that this is the sixth.
This is
Yes.
Star City number 6.
Yep.
I kind of wish they had a guide because the
Mm.
commemorative guides help me remember which year things
Right.
happened.
Well, but that's
Yeah.
that's why you
That's
keep the
kinda-
badges on a nail.
That's why
Because then you can flip through the badges and be like, oh,
Yeah, we were discussing. Do you keep your badges? How long do you keep them?
Yeah.
What do you do with them? Do you turn them into armor?
Yeah. Not a
Steel
crazy
mills.
person. Yeah, hey, there we go.
But it's fun going through them and going, oh, I
Yeah.
remember that.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
told you. Yeah.
I went through this one. I don't remember that. I know I was there.
Mhm.
What did I do?
Exactly.
Also, it's
What
an
was I
interesting.
doing?
It's
Yeah,
an interesting
whatever.
watermark for the success of a con.
Yeah.
Because some of the badges I have are like the badge this year, where it's a
Mm.
printed plasticine kind of
Mm.
whatever
Mm.
material
Right.
thingy badge.
Mhm.
And then you see where some years they go with like just a pocket, a clear
yes.
pocket,
Yeah.
and then a
right.
piece of paper
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
there
Exactly,
that
yeah.
has the logo on it. And then
Yeah.
you're kind of like, thin year, hey?
Yeah.
And then it goes, either goes back to the plastic thing or it
Mm.
doesn't, and you're like, oh.
Mhm.
Not that it's an indicator of quality, but it's just interesting to see how the economics of getting that made.
Yeah.
You can shortcut it if you're like, well, we got a printer.
Mhm.
It's color printer.
Come on
Is that
into the
better or
picture.
better?
Are you in the picture?
That's I like it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Swing around.
I'm
Swing
like
around.
swinging over his shoulder.
Let's see who everyone is.
Everyone here?
There we go. There we go. Hello, everyone.
Oh, I am in here. I'm over here.
Yes, you're in the corner.
I think with some of the larger cons where there's a lot of lines and different levels, it can be tricky. And one of the neatest things I saw somebody do at a convention was they had identifiable information on both sides of the badge, so people weren't
Mhm.
continually stopped
Having to
in
flip it
transit
over.
going,
Yeah.
and that
Exactly.
slowed down the
We did a lot
traffic.
of that.
Being able to do that was
Right.
streamline things so you could get to your panel in time to get in
Now, what
line.
con? Because I know for a lot of cons I've seen them be like badge,
Was it
and you never, they never looked at
Was
the
it
front. They just saw that you had
Oh,
it.
Remember. Yeah.
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 So some places are real strict about badges.
I'll just,
Mm.
I went to E3 in Los Angeles a couple years ago,
Wow.
and that is the strictest I've ever seen that. It's
Sure.
So they
Every, like,
absolutely
every-
sample,
it's like-
got a cup.
There's like a couple buildings, a hallway, and then like the front to get into the building. Every single one of those points, like you have to show your badge, and the person's gonna be at the door looking at the badges.
Mm.
You went into the bathroom. You came out of the
Yeah.
bathroom.
I mean, you joke, but it's
Badge
almost
in,
like
you
that.
badge
Yeah.
Some kind of Ocean's 11 switcheroo.
Yeah.
I'll meet you at the back service hallway.
Yeah.
I wonder if anybody has ever like taken a photograph of a badge and like printed out a color one and like.
You know,
Oh,
Star
yeah.
City, you can do that.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah.
Don't try this at home,
No,
children.
no,
Not- not
don't do
gonna
that.
Not that
No.
we're
Don't do this.
Yeah.
Now is the part where you put the disclaimer.
Well, most of Otaku I've run into are pretty honest folks. Like if you lose
Yeah.
something at a con, they'll return it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most otaku I met feel bad even like streaming illegal stuff on the website.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I want to pay for this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I know PAX has had a lot of problems with like badge
Really?
fraud.
Huh.
Yeah.
For just that kind of thing where they're
Yeah.
manufacturing them at home.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In fact, they PAX posted photos on their website of like, okay, here's our badge, and here are some examples of some of the fake badges we've seen.
Whoa.
Yeah, because it was very clear, and it's a problem because what they'll do is because now what they have to do is like they won't ship out your badge until like a week before the
We
con.
don't want to give you time to
Yeah,
figure it
so
out.
all that kind of stuff. Like, geez.
Cut and paste.
Mhm.
Cut and paste. I
I
don't
mean,
have
they
time.
have the holograms on them now. all
Hologram,
that stuff.
that's
Yeah.
that's a security.
Mhm.
And that's big
Holding
money.
them to the
And that
Yeah.
costs money. That costs
Yeah.
money. So then the price of the tickets go up.
There you
for
go.
the
Sure.
things on it.
Unless you go to the lid store and you take off all the MLB holograms.
Brilliant.
Wow! I
Oh,
not
no,
Try this at home. Yeah.
Oh no! What have I done?
How could they would ever do that?
Now Major League Baseball is gonna break my knee.
Yeah, exactly.
What do they say? Locks are to keep the honest people out.
Or is it to keep me in?
Mm.
Keep me away.
But regarding Star City, though, it's like one of the things I was noticing yesterday. Like one of the great things about Star City is that when you get the voice actors here, you can really get some one-on-one time with
Yeah.
the voice
Yeah.
actors.
That's
Mhm.
And so
great.
yesterday, when we were walking around the vendors hall, we have the voice actor for Alphonse Elric here at this con.
Mm.
He was taking the time to really talk to every single person that was waiting in line to go talk to him. It's like he was
That's
signing
cool.
autographs, he was meeting people, he was getting up taking pictures with them,
Mhm.
and it's like people were asking him about the characters that he played, and he was talking about like he knows his characters and was talking about what he was doing.
Mhm.
Now is it Aaron
Some jumpsuit
Disney
today
or
where the
Aaron
con size is double.
Yeah.
There's actually a really long line. I don't think he's doing that today.
Yeah.
But, you know, you get to the con early or whatever. It's just like he was really taking like minutes per person.
That
Wow.
And you don't have this
Nice.
thing where you have to pay a whole lot of money here at Star City. It's just like,
Mm.
go
Yeah.
buy a picture of them for $5 or something like that, and he's giving you like all this time.
Yeah.
And you go to some of the bigger cons, like
Yeah.
never.
Are you telling
Lucky
me Will
if you
Wheaton
can
won't
get to
hold
see
the
him.
camera?
Yeah.
Well, we.
You'll get to see them.
You
might
see
wait
him
an
from
hour and a
across
half.
the room.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
Yeah.
there he goes. I've seen him with my own eyes.
Exactly.
And here's your autograph. Get out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
And you
We
have to
charge
wait
a
a
fee.
super long time to do that. But you have
Yeah.
a small con like this, where it's just like, no, you wait for, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well,
You're
geez, for
chilling
how
at the
one
bar,
time?
and he's
For
like
how many
having a beer
years?
next
Yeah.
to you in the
No,
hotel
that's-
lobby.
That
Like,
is a nice thing to be able to like see them like be real people
Right.
and kind of not
Mhm.
on guard.
Yeah.
We,
Well, you
we
remember
were
when
walking
Vic-
through the hotel lobby last night. He was sitting at the bar. We went and got a drink. We
That's
sat
what I was
next to him
gonna
for an hour.
Wow.
Because Vic used to do the same thing. You'd
Yeah.
see Vic sitting in the lobby and he'd just be talking. There's
Hanging
not.
out.
He's not signing
Doing
autographs. He's just doing nothing but being a person. And it's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Well, and one of the problems at larger cons is that they're so scheduled.
You're right.
You don't have
exactly.
time to do any of that, so they're just being,
Yeah.
sent from one
to the
room
next,
to the
to
one
next.
place
And,
to the
yeah. Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, because if you're gonna sign autographs for a slot of 2 hours, and there are definitely
2 hours worth of people.
Two
And if
hours.
somebody sees you walking down the hall, they may delay that, and then everybody else.
Yeah. And you're backing up the autograph.
100 people.
I've
Not
absolutely
really.
been that guy.
Yeah.
I've seen the voice actor walk down the aisle, it's like, oh, just shake my hand. Hi, okay, nice to see you.
Oh, yeah.
Can I touch you?
No.
But
So,
clean, go away.
Yeah. Bootlegging will not be a workshop Wednesday. Just to be clear. Bootlegging con badges. So
It'll
yes.
be a hobby hopper.
Yeah.
Oh, what
We need to have
Uh,
a
yeah.
serious
Yeah, we need a month really to get into that.
And here's the hobby hopper where everybody gets to go to jail.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So announcing for March.
Our next episode from behind
Yeah.
these bars.
Yeah,
exactly.
Next
We
month will
only
be
get 5 minutes of internet access to
Yeah.
the county jail, so we can
April's,
make this quick.
April's hobby is how to make food with what you find in the hotel.
Now we're gonna ferment orange drink on a radiator.
Yeah.
Sweet.
There's a YouTube channel called The Modern Rogue, and they do all sorts of interesting videos about just sort of what a rogue would want to do in modern society, basically. And one of the things they've done is, the prison burrito.
Yeah.
All of these sort of dishes that folks would make on the
How to
inside.
make a burrito with the stuff you can find at the prison commissary.
Yep. Uh-huh.
I would think they'd probably serve you burritos at the prison that would seem like a cheap alternative meal.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Actually, I saw
yes.
someone make one of those on Shop once. And that's the reason that I know what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, I learned this in prison, so I'm gonna do the same thing. And I was like, well, that's cool. It had hot Cheetos in it, so I'm like,
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
Cheetos,
there we
because
go.
It's like hot
Yeah,
Cheetos.
they repurpose all sorts of stuff that's like junk food and like it has this flavor.
How to
it
get the
has
shank into the burrito?
that.
Oh.
burrito.
The Modern Road did an episode on, I forget what it's called, but this is the thing that soccer hooligans invented. Where
Soccer
they would,
hooligans?
yes.
Eating people over a sports issue?
Oh yes. So the problem that they face is that when they would go into the separated.
Mark's at Queensborough Rule.
They had this problem where obviously they would ban all weapons. You can't bring in guns, you can't bring in knives, anything like that. So they bring in newspapers.
Oh, a rolled up newspaper.
And they would roll up newspapers and they would find a piece of rock. They would roll it up in one end of the newspaper and then wet the newspaper,
Oh.
we're making it.
turning it into a paper mache club.
Oh, with
And
weight.
with weight, and because of how, and we're talking, this thick.
Oh,
Newspaper.
gosh.
And so they built this thing and they're like, this is bad. Like, we're not going to do this. They had a steel drum. They were able to make holes in the steel drum with this thing.
Wow.
And so you imagine, you're at a soccer game, somebody whips that out at you. You're like, just running the opposite direction.
Okay,
This is
you
like
were-
the intro to 2001. Except you take the apes with the bone
Yeah.
and you put all the soccer fans in there. You're like, here we go. Oh, good lord.
Yeah.
That's a good MacGyver skill, though. If I'm stuck somewhere,
Good to
I need
know.
to make a club.
I
Yeah.
need to defend
Newspaper
myself
and
against
rock.
something.
I have a newspaper, I have a rock. I can
I
wet it
can't-
somehow.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember. You talked about the anime at one
Stinking
point
club. Had to go down that.
where they're paper crafters and they make. I swear.
Oh,
you
Weed or
talked about-
Die.
There you
Weed
go.
or Die. Yep.
Where they
Oh,
can where they
that was
control
right.
paper and can make
Mhm.
spears and things out of it. And it's
Mhm.
like I thought it was funny because I looked after you talked about it.
Yeah.
I looked some of that up and it's like, no, you actually can. If you can get paper, you can coil
Yeah.
it tight enough
Oh.
to actually make a spear out of it. I'm like,
Mhm.
good lord.
Yeah.
Now I gotta be worried when I go to the newspaper and complain to them. Oh damn, you printed word.
Pen is money in the
Pen is-
store. Yeah. Totally.
It's all gonna start rolling.
That'll leave a paper trail.
There we go.
Oh.
But
Too many puns tonight.
Oh, we're just punny.
Mhm.
Rapunzel. Rapunzel.
So so in terms of so one of the things we've been talking about, just sort of because you've heard about it. Star City is smaller this year than previous years, which is a thing that happens.
How
cons
did
cycle.
that happen this time?
There's another con happening the same weekend.
Yep.
A simultaneous.
Simulcon.
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 Competing cons, though. That's
Yeah.
tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Which in a small market, if you want to be the biggest draw,
Yeah.
and you have currently, I think the other con is only, I think this is it might be its fourth.
Mm.
Yeah. It's.
They only started a few years ago, and they went from one of their cons a year
Mhm.
to then, in which case Star City was at a completely unoccupied time,
Mm.
and then you had other like Comic Cons that were in different places in the map, and then you had their one big one. They've been very good at fundraising, so they split into two cons.
Wow.
Same people, two cons in the same city, and it starts to edge in on other smaller things going on and draw those people. And
It's too bad they didn't coordinate, though, because if
Mm.
you have enough support to support two cons, scheduling it at the same time somebody else is doing one is kind of.
Particularly,
Yeah.
it's a
with-
way to make you be the only con. So
Mm.
you have to want to work with
But you
someone.
have like
Con
a shared,
Yeah.
you have the shared audience or whatever, because a lot of the people, us, that want to go to Star City, it's like, well, we also really like going to the Comic Con.
Mhm.
Anytime that there's a Comic Con, it's like, well, we're absolutely going there because, like, maybe we're not super into comic books, but Comic Con at this point is much more of a pop culture fest.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we can go to that, and then if the next weekend it's an anime con, well, we're there too.
Mm.
And so when you have these people that are gonna make their two cons, and you're still sharing that same audience that was there before of people with the same interests. It's just like,
Fan base divided and conquered.
Yeah.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think Roanoke is growing in fan base. I mean,
yeah,
I think
it
we're
seems
we're
so.
getting
It's
more
grown
people
a lot,
to do more things.
but it's still not that big of a town.
and while the fan base is growing, the vendors aren't necessarily growing.
Yeah.
So a lot of vendors that we've seen here at Star City in the past are not here this year,
Mm.
and I bet you I know where they are.
Mhm.
They're
Yep.
probably
Do you
right
hear
over
that?
there.
Supply and demand.
Mhm.
Yeah, Roanoke is growing. If you sell
Yeah.
it, come here.
There's
Yeah.
demand.
Roanoke's on the grow.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's been an interesting. It's
Mhm.
been an interesting impact that I don't think we had. I know for sure we did not have to deal with it last year.
Okay.
So that's
No, last year it seemed big and growing. It's just like, man,
Yeah.
this is on the up.
yeah.
And now this year it's suddenly, for the first time in, what did we decide, 5 years? 6
Six.
years.
This
For
is
the
year
first
6.
for the first time in 6 years, it seems like we've taken a step back.
Well,
And
I mean,
it's a
that
big
first,
step
that first
back.
year was really well attended. I mean,
Yeah.
that first year was like everybody was like, "Wow, we have something now. It's
Wow,
a,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
a thing. We can do things now."
We had
Yeah.
we had a board
Um,
game room,
Oh,
we had
yeah.
a video game
Exactly.
room, vendors hall, artist alley, panel room.
Yeah. I mean,
Kinda.
We
Pan-
had
panel room.
panel hotel room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still panel room.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, we also they had a panel room that wasn't a panel room for a little while as well. So that was a whole thing. The hotel took the panel room away from us for like a morning. That was interesting.
Someone needed to sleep.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, the other Holiday Inn, it was for the ROTC breakfast.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was we lost that room for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't gonna fight that.
Yeah.
No, when you're trained in several
Katana
forms of
versus
one-armed
X16
combat.
as well.
Bunch of nerds in cosplay. Just get over here.
Fireball! Punch to the head!
All the foam weapons coming out.
The boffers.
Yeah, we hired the Boffer Club, but they didn't stand up to them.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Take
that
your boffer away.
what this organization has done. There's a certain power to Black Materia organizing multiple conventions in different cities because they
True.
can use a template and work with different cities, not reinventing the wheel each time they set up a con. And they've invited the Boffer guys, and I haven't seen that at other conventions. Maybe have you?
Not-
They're here every year.
They
Yeah.
get a lot of
And
people
that's
see
that. That room is
love it.
packed.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah, like I've seen that at gaming conventions, but not anime conventions. Yeah.
I can do anytime I've seen
Do you have to sign a disclaimer before you do that?
I don't know. I've only seen it here and like on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Where they pull this foam off the bat. Hey, this works without the foam.
Oh yeah, when they're in the family council.
Family
Yeah.
Guy's like, Bart, stop that! Stop that!
Early Simpsons.
Yeah, I would imagine they would have to sign something.
Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah.
Nobody in the
That is-
world.
that is
nobody in
not-
the world's
that
gonna
is not
hand
the
like people
important part of the
weapons.
conversation.
Yeah.
An injury. What do we do insurance?
Well, one thing
We
groups
get
of
them.
people-
No.
They've got that nice sign that says no hitting in the face, no hitting in the
Mhm.
in the other parts, and no
Mhm.
hitting in any of the
But
female
why do
anatomy.
you think they call it
But-
accidents?
Yeah, but I imagine there's got to be a way that you can agree that you will not do this, and then they're not going to let somebody get their eye gouged
Right.
some
Yeah.
foam sword and be like, "Oh, we're so sorry, go ahead, sue us."
I'm
Like,
sorry.
Mhm.
We saw no foreseeable problems with the foam claws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to reenact the thumb gouging scene and see where that could possibly result in violence.
Mhm.
Thumb claws. Was that in the contract?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's always interesting seeing how different conventions handle things. Seeing stuff like Otakon, which I think has scaled up and down, where like they've always grown to some extent, but then like they got to a point at Baltimore where it just kind of plateaued. It just kind of sat there for a couple of years, and then they moved to DC, and it kind of and so yeah, that's just the nature of moving a space, and Baltimore had the problem that like they had more or less maxed out the convention center, but also folks didn't want to come because the convention center was so maxed out.
Right.
So they just got that
On
reputation
site,
of
can't grow anymore. There's not enough space for roots.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you've told me stories of like not being able to go to a panel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it's like, no more. You can't get in here.
We've
Yeah.
reached
And it's like,
fire
when you
capacity.
start off at Star City, it's like there's never you can't get in. I mean,
Mhm.
even at its busiest,
You
it's
don't
still like
spend
people
your time
stay
waiting in
the
lines as much
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
smaller conventions, and that's
Mhm.
just worth it
Which
in
is
itself.
nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with something like Otakon or something like that, where you're saying it's like, well, they have big years and they have small years.
Mhm.
What I wonder is with something like Star City, that's already a small con.
Mm.
If you have a small year, do you come back from that? Because with
Mhm.
something like this, normally it's like, say, think of like a big con. It's like if you have a small year, that's fine. You know the name is out there.
Mm.
Next year it's like, okay, well next year will be better. Something like this where you have so few vendors already coming, you have so few artists already signing up for that. You have a small year like this. How much does that turn people away? Or it's like, I'm not going to come back because I didn't make money.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I want to think that next year is going to be better. I mean, better is, whatever. It's like, we're still having a nice time,
Mhm.
but attendance and vendor turnout and artist turnout.
Mhm.
If you have a bad year, then the next year, does it get better? Or does it get even worse and eventually stall out because the people aren't making money?
Yeah.
And in the land of social media, if you everybody will know if you're not making money, and you're telling everybody what's going on. So,
Some
Yeah.
conventions are very secretive about the finances.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely a variable in the equation. One of the real big variables as well is if there are any incidents, and
Mm.
incidents can ruin relationships with vendors or locations and the public even. And so keeping something that's under control, I think, has a pretty big impact, and it's much easier to bounce back from something like that than, oh, they set fire to the hotel.
Yeah.
There was a police had to be called for something. Or
But at some
anything
point,
like
does that help you?
Well, there's
Yeah.
no
Oh, what the
No,
heck?
no bad
Star
person.
City.
yeah,
Public
this
safety.
was
guys-
lit. Let's go again.
Do you guys know about Action Park?
No.
Have you heard of Action Park? Okay.
No.
Action Park. I will show you the video later. Action Park was a theme park in New Jersey.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yes.
Oh.
Sorry,
started-
New Jersey.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry.
It started as like a ski lodge, and they sort of expanded and added water slides and so forth.
Of course they did.
Action Park.
Ski
Yeah.
lodge.
So
It's
and-
a nice
and
little
it's
park.
nice.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
The issue was that it was basically all one guy who was building all of it, and commissioning all of these himself. So he was just like, yeah, just do like a toboggan run and just make it, and it'll be fine. And so it grew and it grew and it grew.
Famous last decision.
To
Yeah,
give you an
worst
idea.
Just make a toboggan run. Nothing. but
Sure.
fun.
Like there's video of people going down the toboggan run, and like it's essentially like 4 lanes of like I don't know what it's made out of. Yeah, molded. And they go up about yay high between each toboggan run. So you go down, and if you move slightly one way or the other, you just go
you're
right
in
into
there.
the other person's lane. Which is fun.
Which is really fun.
Yes.
Toboggans, yeah.
And you don't have to worry about all the exposed nails sticking out of the sheeting. You know,
It's fine.
those are prizes.
Pull one out, take it out.
Yes. They had a pool that folks could swim around in, and then a rock ledge above it that people could dive into the pool
Whoa.
from like 16 feet up.
That's
So
my
you
guy.
hope nobody is diving above you and can't see you underneath and hit you.
Knock you.
Yes.
And it was a 3-foot pool depth.
Yeah.
Choice.
How much for terminal velocity?
Yes. And they had all sorts of things. And here's where it gets dark. People started to die.
It sounds like a movie.
Yes.
It
It does. It does.
And not in a
The
figurative sense of like,
curse
I'm
of
dying to
Action
go
Park.
there.
No.
To go there.
Somebody reached under the water on the on one of the rides, and grass would turn out to be a live wire.
Oh.
Yeah. Underneath.
That was a hot
Um,
event.
It was shocking.
There was a wave pool. Like they had like 6 foot
Wave
waves,
goodbye,
and they had
everybody
like
pool.
young kids in there
Yeah.
and
Getting tumbled
getting
around.
tumbled around.
Boy.
And okay, to kind of pull it back a little bit, they had a like little Formula One cars, right? They would go all around the track.
Little go-kart.
Little go-kart thingies. Pretty much all their employees were teenagers who figured out how to remove the limiters
Yeah.
Oh.
on the go-karts. So their go-karts could go 50 miles an hour.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It sounds fun until the first person loses an eye.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when that happens, you're like, oh, you
Yeah.
snitch.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Exactly.
It got-
Eyeball.
No, I want to tell them.
Yeah.
I want those things.
So it got so bad that they bought extra ambulances for the
For Action
local.
Park.
Yeah, yes, for like emergency personnel complained so often that the park bought ambulances for them for the extra capacity for their park. There is a quote by the guy who ran it saying, "Well, this isn't funny."
That's a good quote. Which we'll all laugh.
Yeah.
My fortune is
yeah.
That's what he
Um,
said.
This is not funny.
This is not
This
funny.
is serious.
Yeah.
We all break up and laugh.
When you look at how many people come to Action Park, the death rate isn't really all that bad. Yeah.
Wow. The percentage rates are reasonable. This is like what would happen if you were crossing the street in New York City.
Right.
Do you know what the percentages of people who die just driving?
Yeah, exactly.
You're so much more likely to drive on your way or to die on your way here.
Listen, we bought more ambulances. Issue solved.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Alright.
But bringing it back to that plot, what we were talking about, one of the things people said is that Action Park got a reputation so that teenagers would go because it was dangerous.
Oh.
Because, I survived Action Park.
Oh, God.
It was also known as Traction Park.
Traction.
That was cute.
Day of fun in Traction Park.
Yes. It eventually got shut down for tax evasion.
Oh,
Of all things.
Amazing.
Wow.
They
Yeah.
survived all the lawsuits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the other interesting thing. They almost never got sued.
well, everyone was dead.
Nobody's left alive.
It never ended in injury. It was fatality or
Yes.
injury.
Yes. I will at some point show you.
about getting injured.
No, it's either fast
You're
or
gonna
no.
go.
Oh, they had an enclosed water slide with a loop-de-loop.
Oh god.
Oh man,
No.
I'm in.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Not designed by a ride engineer. Just we're gonna get somebody to build this.
To build a loop.
Apparently,
Pile up.
I mean,
That's scary. That's
So-
amazing. Pork.
What happened to June? Backs up. We have a backup all the way to the top of water.
I mean, have you ever made a water slide? It's
This is
essentially
wondering.
a water slide is just a fly tinker toy. It's just put some hoses at the top.
Oh, you just make it slippery with water.
yeah.
Flush them again.
Yeah, we got people stuck in there. Pour down the 55-gallon drum of baby oil. I'll loosen that right up there.
The Olympus start dancing. See, when you started talking about failed parks, cons, whatever, I was thinking of DashCon, which I don't know if any of you guys heard about, but it's the people of Tumblr at large, I guess.
I don't know who planned that.
I don't know who planned that.
It was-
Yeah.
But essentially, they decided that they were going to make a con for all of their
For all the Tumblr users.
for all the Tumblrians.
Okay. Yeah.
Tumblrians.
Whatever. Anyways,
Tumblr
historic
dating
failings.
concepts.
Tumblr dating or not?
No,
It's
it's
vlogging.
vlogging.
It's a vlog.
you're thinking Tinder.
Vlogging.
Okay, or I'm thinking of Grindr.
We can talk
That's
totally
a
different story. We can talk about Tinder and Grindr.
Oh my goodness, I gotta be careful if I start getting into the social media because I may get the wrong way.
You're like, yeah, I went to GrinderCon. Was that about hoagies and filled out? Like a totally different thing.
Grinders, no.
You might have got a hoagie while you're there.
That's a whole different video.
All right. Moving right along.
So,
going ahead,
so the
DashCon.
people of Tumblr decided
Yeah.
it was called DashCon, like on Tumblr. I don't know, your homepage called your dashboard or something.
Oh,
right?
okay, yeah.
So DashCon, and
Dash.
as a person that did not attend DashCon, but who was a Tumblr user at the time, getting to see the aftermath of what happened at this DashCon, it went poorly, to say the least. And there is a viral image of just this like empty looking room with like a concrete floor and just a small child's blow up ball pit just in the middle. And it's like, if you just look up like the DashCon ball pit, it's just like this massive room where nobody is, and someone else is like, you know what our con needs? A ball pit. And it's like the early like McDonald's Play Place ball pit, but like half the size, like that you would buy at Toys R Us. It just filled with some balls that a bunch of gross, adolescent to early adult people decided that they're gonna have some fun times with that ball pit.
No.
You can go in if you want, but that's essentially just like the hotel jacuzzi.
Yeah.
And just kind of just like enter your own risk.
It's not so much a ball pit as a petri dish.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What percentage of water at water parks is water?
There was a con, I mentioned this before, there was a con in, I think, Rhode Island. There was an 18+ only con. And it wasn't to be, like about adult content. It was just, we want to have serious discussions.
I was just like, man, where are you going?
And I didn't go to it.
Brent gets around a lot.
What's going on? Well, that was the
We were
thing.
talking about Grindr.
Do you know the URL?
There are many of those cons, but I don't really. Yeah.
Our friend. Las Vegas has a lot of them.
Yes, Las Vegas has a lot of those cons. But it only ran for 1 year. Because they just couldn't get the attendance. They couldn't get, because there are so many teenagers who come to cons, right? Like,
And they don't want an academic discussion.
Right, exactly. It's oddly enough, yeah. But just it wasn't, didn't work out.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure I heard exactly what you just said, but I'm not sure it's entirely people that don't want to like sit in on like a deeper dive of a panel, and more of people do not know how to panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be that.
It's just it's like, again, my very first experience at a con at a panel was one of Brent's panels. If y'all haven't gone to one of these or seen some of the videos, it's a very professional person.
Thank you.
You can go to other panels at big cons, and it will seriously just be a bunch of teenagers who there's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go into this big dive on X anime. You get there, you show up, the room's full of people. There are 3 or 4 college kids sitting at a table, and like, yeah, so what do you want to know? And then they will talk amongst
You
themselves.
tell me, I don't know. That's why I'm here.
And then they will talk amongst themselves about things like, yeah, so we're here to talk about Italia or whatever it is that they're interested in, and then they will just talk amongst themselves, and that's their panel. And it's like, well, it's no wonder people don't go to more panels, is because I've tried something. It's like I tried plastic modeling thing, or it's like you said the leatherworking
Workshop.
Like,
I went to a
workshop
day.
day.
Cool.
It's just like these things.
Made a leather
Yeah.
cuff with the straps and everything.
Yeah.
These things that should be very cool and done by people who are experts in their field, or so much as a hobbyist.
Learned
Learn it in their field or something like that. But if you don't know how to communicate with people, you don't know how to properly plan or even deal with the audience when you have one person who's being overly talkative or something, and you're trying to say a point. It's just like, why go to a panel if that's who the person is? Like, I could be better spending my time in the artist alley.
Yeah, I found that to be frustrating, attending panels that don't have much depth in their content and are fluff. And that's one reason that I enjoyed Brent's panels is because they didn't have fluff. He had more content than he could stuff into the hour.
Yeah, exactly.
And with a handout sheet with references to go on after that, so I have a follow up.
Exactly, but so often the experience is you go in there and the person is like, even if they know a lot about what they're talking about, if they can't communicate it with you, then that's what your panel experiences become. Like, well, why go to panels?
Yeah.
I haven't seen as many people request feedback about panels, so that the panel choosing
that is such a
committee.
smart thought.
Yeah.
That's really true.
So this
actually.
panel was awesome. It was
You can somehow
this
tell,
panel was mediocre. This panel, these people need to go to Toastmasters, learn how to speak. They need to work with somebody who is an experienced moderator who can somebody who can
Well, somebody like I've said about you is like somebody who can pivot
Mhm.
when you have the one person who is so engrossed in that thing that you just mentioned, the
Yeah.
fixation, and they just go and go and go, and you have the deft ability to be like, that's awesome. So as we move on with that discussion,
Yeah.
and can just
graciously
pivot
move it.
everything.
Without insulting.
Right.
Yeah, because
Right,
usually
without
they're not
setting them
trying
off.
to be
Right.
Yeah.
obnoxious. They don't
Everybody,
realize.
everybody is here because we have a shared interest. They want to talk about their interests.
Yeah.
That's great. But I'm the person who's
Yeah.
trying to hold the
Now
floor
is not
and get my
the
Yeah.
time
chance.
right
Yeah.
now.
The Q&A session afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Free
got
for all. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Throw in
That's
foam
usually how it
weapons
goes.
and you're good.
Yeah. I got a chance to talk to Chris Needham, who runs panels at Anime USA, about this topic. And he said one of the difficulties of running panels at a con is of scheduling people to run panels at a con is that you don't know what they can handle. And so a good example of that is, are you going to be coming in and basically lecturing? Are you going to be coming in and leading a discussion? Because those are different skill sets. He talks about how he did a panel on Admiral Perry and opening up Japan to the West, and there was someone in the audience who wanted to argue with him that America coming in was that the only reason Admiral Perry was there was to get a treaty to open up Japan to the West. There was no military interest. There was no strong arming tactics. There was nothing. It was an entirely benevolent mission. And Chris was like, I know that's not the case. There was other things going on there. But this guy was adamant and was going to argue his point for the rest of the hour.
Sorry, this is not a debate. This is a lecture.
Right.
Let's move forward in the subjects.
And Chris is amazing at being able to handle that and say, well, that's fine, let's move on. But he said, but there will be other folks who come in who just stall out and can't handle that.
Yeah.
And it's
Deer in the
tough.
headlights freeze up and
Mhm.
suddenly it spins out of control.
Yeah. And you never know when you get somebody where that's their topic, and they're going on.
If you
Well,
have
I've
two
heard-
people, you can
Well, I've
kind
heard
of
it.
tag
In-
team.
Yeah,
I think it was Star City last year. Somebody was talking about they were doing they were doing a group panel, and I don't remember what the subject was, but they were saying this is their very first panel. And I remember them discussing a little bit of it, and I don't know. I think they were setting up, and there was some discussion before they were doing it, and how nervous they were,
Mhm.
and how they didn't know when it was really going to go. That they practiced, but they were really
Yeah.
kind of on pins and needles, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I just well, I think you're wrong, and I can see the whole train kind of right off the tracks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But but for a Toastmaster, I suppose this is the greatest petri dish to do that, because if you flub it entirely at Star City, 20 people
Yeah.
see it,
Exactly.
in a shot, and then it's just like
Totally.
now you can kind of be like, okay, well, this went wrong, and I can do this a little bit better. So the time you get to Anime USA, find your skill set.
As someone who's done a lot of panels,
A few.
more than the normal con goer,
Mhm.
what is the vetting process like when you submit a
Oh.
you submit a
Can of worms?
I know it's pretty in depth.
Yeah. It varies wildly from con to con. Because if you have never done a panel before, and
I
you're
have never
submitting-
done a panel before.
So hello, you've never done a panel before. Nice to meet you. You've never done a panel before. Yeah.
Not my technical name.
Yes, exactly. No. So basically, you submit it on the
It's
website. You go into a big
Say
bucket.
it faster.
That's German.
A lot more consonants.
Yeah, you go into a big bucket. So everything that gets submitted goes into one big spreadsheet of all the panels that have been submitted. And then they basically filter that down based on what is the theme of the con for that year. What has been submitted 200 other times by other panelists.
That's a big one.
And also, I'm gonna be frank.
Hi, Frank.
What does the what?
Don't call me Shirley.
Whoever is vetting that list, what do they care about? There's a lot of normal human bias in. Oh, that sounds interesting, right?
If the person vetting it has seen your work before, then it's
Yeah.
They
Easier.
can say,
Completely different thing.
okay, I know where this person's level of skill is.
Mhm.
Where if it's a first time or
Mhm.
somebody unknown, it's a wild card. So
Or
they
somebody
have
who's
to
a train wreck.
And that's another thing Chris brought up to that point is that if somebody comes in and says, hey, I've never done a panel before, I'm going to moderate a story about Japanese POW camps. No!
No.
Like, you don't get that panel, right? But if you're coming in and saying, hey, I know a lot about Super Sentai series and I'm going to do sort of a walkthrough of major Super Sentai shows, like, okay, that's something you could probably do. So yeah, it's based on that. But like Evan was saying, if you've done a lot, it's more of a dialogue where you can say, hey, I have an idea for a panel. I actually have on this, yes, I have in a notepad window right here a bunch of ideas for panels for AUSA. So I'm going to basically email Chris directly and saying, hey, here are 8 things I might want to talk about.
He's
What
gonna
sounds
have
good to you?
options where
Which
you
thing
know, I
fits
only
in
have one
best for
panel,
them.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
the guy says, look, I've already got 18 people submitted on that same subject.
Mhm.
Right.
Where Brent submits like
Yeah.
8 panels,
Mhm.
and they may have a gap that hasn't been filled. And
Mm-hmm.
But as a person who's never done a panel before, and
Yes.
boy, would I love to.
Yes.
You're telling
Says you
me
before you do one.
I have no interest in doing a panel.
Yeah.
But boy, do I want to do one.
Okay, yes.
You're telling me that when I'm trying to submit a panel to a con, that I actually get to talk to a real person and we have some kind of dialogue about what I want to do?
Potentially.
Potentially.
So when
Because
you,
I'm thinking like I fill out some online form where I just say it's like, oh, I'm blah blah blah. Here's what I want to talk about. Give me a summary of what you're going to talk about. Blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
Send, and then I never hear back from something. It's just like, oh, the internet ate it.
2
Right.
weeks
You're
before,
saying, no, it's
quick,
like-
we need you.
You're saying like, no, it's like a real person is going to like respond to me and say like, well, tell me about that.
It depends. They may reject it outright, in which case it will just disappear.
Just
Now,
disappears into the internet.
You will eventually get an email saying, thank you for your submission.
No. Interesting.
Or you may get accepted. Or if it is on that middle ground, they may say, hey, this is interesting. What exactly are you doing? What's your take on that? It also depends on who you know. So if they've heard of you from someone else, like or they've seen you at a con, whatever, they might contact me else and say, hey, this guy Steve, I've heard his name somewhere. Was he at your con? Have you heard of him? Do you know his reputation? And so we can track things down that way.
trickier when
It
you
just-
first get started, but if you've
Right,
built a good reputation,
Yeah.
then that
Yeah.
helps a lot.
It just seems like that could be a subject that a lot of people could be interested in that
Yeah.
have otherwise no way of knowing. Because it's just like, we'll say most people at large, they go to maybe 1-2 big cons a year
Mhm.
or something like that. It's like, man, I really want to do a panel at, say, Katsucon next weekend.
Yeah.
I would have no idea of knowing what that process is like.
Oh,
I might
gotcha.
have a great idea.
Yeah.
And, me sitting at home on my computer, like, man, I really want to do a panel. I have this great
Mhm.
idea, but I wouldn't have the first place to start,
There have
Pretty
been
much-
panels on
Yeah.
on
There's
getting
panels
together
on panels.
panels on
Yeah,
panels.
yeah.
So you want to do a panel.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
not always at every convention, obviously,
Yeah.
but some.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I do think that most conventions open up like a submit your panel,
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but if you've never done that before, if you're
Mhm.
interested in doing it for the first time,
Yeah. If you're interested,
you
absolutely.
don't have some just because you're interested in doing that doesn't mean you know somebody who's never done it before
Right.
or can talk about it. So it's kind of an interesting thing
Yeah.
to hear from somebody who has done it before, what the
Yeah.
process is like.
It's a great point. No, pretty much every con I've ever been to, somewhere on their website, there is a submit a panel form. You just go there and submit it, and you're off to the races.
Maybe buried in the volunteer section or something.
Right.
You
Yeah.
could.
Yeah. And they will accept. They will. Again, pretty much every con I've been to, they accept open submissions from anyone during the submission window. So there's no vetting process, that initial thing. It's not
Do you
like
have to submit a
somebody-
syllabus or anything like that of what you're gonna do? Or it's
I
just
mean-
you can use the comment box of 500 characters or less to give an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually it.
And then
yeah.
I'm also kind of curious, does the person who's like the official vetter of panels have to be like, okay, you need to accept X number of 18 plus panels after 9 p.m.
Mhm.
so that we have something for this con after
9 p.m.
Yeah, after 9 p.m.
Mhm.
And so you're sitting there, it's just like, well, do I accept this hentai panel on blah 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 anime. It's like, well, I need to accept 20 of these. Okay, that one gets through.
Yeah. And there's a reason that it's almost 10. It's late enough.
After dark hours
yeah,
starting
yeah.
now.
Totally.
After dark.
If you are
it's a
under
good
18,
subject.
Go.
We invite you to turn to Kids Choice
Yeah,
Channel.
exactly.
Get out now.
no,
from the dark mode on.
exactly. Last year there were, I think, 3 Shibari panels.
Yes, there were.
You know,
Beginner, middle, and advanced.
Yes.
Both of you know that and can confirm it.
Well, I think
It's
Let's
one of
not
those
dive
things-
into that.
No.
Just say that.
it's only
Yeah,
10, it's not 12.
Is
No,
that sexy macrame stuff? Yeah. Okay.
Right.
You ever been tied up before? That's what this was about.
Yeah.
It's a kind of knitting.
Yes.
It's just a little more advanced.
Big, large,
Well,
very large.
I've never seen it. Like,
Yeah.
Star
You
City
say-
doesn't do that.
I haven't got hung
Star
up on
City
Star
is
City,
very-
Star City 1 had an 18 or older first
Is the
time.
introductory
and never.
showing you the ropes?
I think that's what
I'm
the
afraid
Evan?
not.
Evan, go to the corner.
Go to the
Yeah.
With that
Um,
popcorn.
If you say knitting, I'd say more like sailor knots.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. I'll keep it back away from that conversation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go hide in the poop deck.
But no, there's that's the thing is we saw 3 panels on
Yes.
We were like the heck, but I'm sure it's because
We
somebody submitted
saw.
Yeah.
Everyone heard that, right? We saw.
on the schedule.
On
the schedule.
We all heard that.
We saw it. We saw it.
Yeah, so we saw this 3 times.
All right. I will tell a story, but before we get there, but I think that's exactly what it is. Somebody submitted 3 panels. And they were like, we have 22 submissions in 20 slots, so everything gets in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's
Because
all we
somebody
get.
has to accept
That,
so many things.
that
Yeah.
fills the after 9, even though it's
Mhm.
3, basically the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you don't
Yeah.
really need beginner, intermediate, advanced. You could have had just one to be like, this is what this is.
And I swear.
So they had 3
Well,
whole
I mean, there's
time
like-
blocks.
At a con that's that big, I feel like
Mm.
also there's a ton of overlap. So like, I mean, I'm like looking through the Katsucon schedule like for next weekend.
Mhm.
There are like several things, not necessarily like singular panels, but something like that in the way that there are multiples of something.
Yeah.
And looking at the schedule, I think I can't go to this one because there's something else happening at that time
Yeah.
that I want to go to. But
Mhm.
tomorrow there's another one at 4 p.m. that
Exactly.
I can do the
can
first
go
10
to.
minutes of that, the middle 20 of this
Yeah,
one, and the
yeah.
last 10 of this
That's
one.
literally me on the Katsucon guide. This is really
Yeah.
small.
Well, and Otakon or Katsucon will have 5 panel rooms.
Yeah,
So
I'm
there's plenty of
simultaneous
capacity.
tracks. I can't go to everything.
Yeah.
I gotta
Worse.
pick and choose. Oh,
It's always
great.
the 2
There's
things
one later
you
in
want
the
to
day.
do in one day.
Yeah.
And
I've
got a stretch of 3 hours.
Time turner.
I want a big one.
While you were in the big site
Mhm.
panel,
Mm,
and
oh yeah.
I was sort of hopping panel rooms, looking to see what if there was something I was interested in.
Mhm.
That's where the panel security people come in.
Mm.
You walk in the door and you stand there for a second, and the little panel person's like, "You can't stand."
Mm,
It's like,
Take
I-
a seat or
I
get
just-
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
basically,
Because
yeah.
I was like, I wanted to see what this. Well, you need to sit down or you need to leave. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
And so
The person doing the panel
Because I
set?
no, they had a little monitor.
There's
person
usually
on
a-
the inside.
Security.
Yeah.
they'll have
And
somebody with a counter because they need to follow fire codes, and there's a limitation to how many people they can have in the room.
Yeah.
And that's one
And
of
you
those
can't
extensions
stand.
of it.
Do you get paid for that?
No.
Volunteers.
I was
You're
like, hey,
volunteering,
that's a
yeah.
great idea for next year.
So you do just do that.
So
Yeah.
there is a form of payment, just not cash.
Yeah.
Usually
Yeah.
it's okay.
You get
I'll
to
have-
attend.
You know, I'll work for a certain number of hours, and then the rest of the con is comped. Or
Mhm.
I'll volunteer this year, and next year I'll have some other benefit.
Yeah. Some of the, I'm going to say better cons. If you work
Wait a minute, what is
different
good or
hours,
bad?
I know.
This is
I
geek
know.
archaeology. What is better?
Some cons that volunteers prefer. Some cons will actually also comp part of your hotel. So they'll actually have hotel block for volunteers. And so if you do
That's
like
nice.
8-16 hours
Yeah,
of
talk about
volunteering,
perks.
your hotel's paid for. So
Ooh.
that's
But that's a large workload because
Right,
you're,
Yeah.
you're pretty
You're,
much working.
you're absolutely working
intensely.
for it.
yeah.
And it, it just makes it easier for them because then you're not commuting back. You won't miss
Yeah.
Yeah.
doing
Exactly.
your panel.
You're
Right.
not
Stuck
stuck
in
in
traffic.
Yeah.
I had a
Yep,
flat.
yep.
I ran over a dog.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have crazy people like us.
specific.
Where we go to multiple cons a year,
Wait,
So,
that was a
yeah, I
furry
can-
convention. That wasn't a dog.
You run over a dog.
Was the dog neon green?
If it's walking on two legs, it's not a dog.
His ears were rainbow colored. I don't know.
And did it say stop? Please stop.
Please stop Hulu.
I'm sorry, it was a unicorn. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're furry, Con.
Okay, that's me.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt that. Sorry,
I have no idea what I was talking about.
I felt
So,
run down about that. But no, the panel selection sometimes is something that's also considered by the con staff.
Mm.
Oh, we don't have enough 18 plus material, or we don't want to do it, or we want to do more of it. We haven't had enough, and so there's different considerations. Some are more family friendly, and some are more. But most of them follow
Broad
the mature
spectrum.
thing at night.
Yeah.
The spectrum of what they want to allow.
Right.
it also depends also a lot on what the vetter wants for the con. So some of them are basically like, I don't want anything. I'm trying to attract a younger crowd, so I want panels about stuff that's come out in the past 3 years.
Oh, I
Right.
hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
Talk about like not recency bias, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Relative issues.
And
Yeah.
then you have like AUSA, which is very committed to having more, having a broad range of fairly deep panels.
Mhm.
So like, if you wanted to submit a panel on 1970s fashion and anime, yes, we're all for that, right?
Wow.
And they'll just as deep as you want to go, trying to spread it out.
Where is that?
Anime USA is in Washington D.C. Every
What time of year is
November,
So not
December.
super far from.
November.
It's
It's,
Canada.
it's kind of
Facilities.
floated around in the fall, and it's also changed.
It's a
facilities
hotel,
a few
the
times.
Woodman's Park Hotel.
Yeah, that's where
is
they're
it in
usually
relation
at.
to that? Like other side or?
It's near the zoo. It's
Yeah.
right across from the zoo on.
So DC.
Yeah.
in DC.
Oh come on! I finally throw one out there and you don't pick it up.
I'm sorry, I'm an animal. That was a good one.
Yeah.
In
It's southwest, southeast,
it's in DC in the northwest
northwest.
quadrant,
Mm-hmm.
across from the National Zoo,
Right.
not too far from there,
Okay.
on Connecticut Avenue, I believe.
So yeah.
And it used to be another company that owned the hotel, and I think Marriott is the owner now.
Yeah, I think so.
And they have a lot of space. They used to do
Mm.
large conventions. They've done some stuff with like military supply equipment, and, standard convention center stuff. So
Mm.
there's huge space where they can set up displays, and you can
Mm.
have trucks come in and unload people's booths and do things like that.
Mm.
But
You
it's
have
also
a half
hotel.
acre of vending or a full acre of vending.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's the dream, man.
They have ballrooms with 40-foot ceilings that have drop stuff from.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a nice place.
You guys need to go to Otakon.
Oh,
at
I
some
love
point.
that.
Yeah.
I really want
It's
to.
it's
Well, now that I
Yeah.
finally
Yeah.
opened the door to big cons, I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, please give me more.
Mhm.
I just need the job that will allow me to get more.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You go to everyone until the bank account says no.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the goal, man.
I was like,
Totally.
well, look what I got.
That's the dream.
I got this box set. This figure.
Yeah.
Look at this
Right.
figure I got from maxing out that credit card you gave me.
Yeah.
Don't make me give her back.
She's my.
All right, I think it is time for the news, everyone.
News time.
Let's go ahead and do the news. I do not have any of the normal stuff for the news.
avatars.
No avatars, no
Oh.
intro, none of that stuff. So we're just gonna have to do this and see how it works.
Actually, there's music here.
Exactly, yeah. And it's not even selecting the thing. That's gonna be interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to move over a little bit. So.
He's touching it.
All right. Let's do the thing. All right, let's see how this works.
Tap, tap, tap.
Is this the pod? Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. American. All ships at sea.
Good evening and welcome to the latest anime news for the week ending February 8th, 2020. That is right. We are here at Star City.
Today,
and
hooray.
This week's lineup of anime news is brief but brings some interesting stories. Yeah. First up, Interspecies Reviewers continues to prove a little too spicy for broadcast. Following its removal from Funimation last week, it has also been removed from both Amazon Prime Video and Japanese TV channel Tokyo MX. Yeah. Amazon's video service did not issue any official statement, but both the English subbed and dubbed versions of the anime are mysteriously no longer available to stream. The show is still there, but it's listed as unavailable. Tokyo MX officially canceled its airing of the series due to, quote, changes in circumstances within Tokyo Metropolitan Television.
We
End
watched
quote. Right. Which was announced this week on Twitter, because Twitter.
Twitter.
Fans in Japan can still catch it airing on KBS Kyoto and several other networks.
Record it for us.
Yeah. A few anime streaming services in other parts of the world will still carry the series. Anime Lab will continue streaming the series in Australia and New Zealand, for example, though future episodes are currently delayed due to the service adjusting its sourcing of materials. End quote.
Good angel and bad angel.
Yeah.
Do it.
Considering these services must have been aware of the basic plot of the anime before they made the initial decision to stream it, it really makes you wonder just what's happening in these upcoming episodes to warrant the sudden change. If anyone watching is brave enough to find out, be sure to report back and let us know. I think I have a sneaking suspicion that it has to do with, let's just say the demons in their world. Might possibly have a factor there. We will find out. This week's first new anime announcement is a particularly interesting one, as it'll be the first anime ever based off its type of source material. Yomiuri TV Enterprise and Funimation announced on Thursday that they are co-producing a TV anime based on playwright and theater director Bunno Fujisawa's dramatic stage reading called Mars Red. The anime will premiere sometime in 2021 and will also serve as a 50th anniversary project for Yomiuri TV Enterprise. The first production of Mars Red debuted in 2013, with more shows in 2015 and 2017, and it inspired a manga, which began in January of last year. Funimation describes the plot of the anime in its official announcement as follows. Mars Red, quote, Mars Red takes place in 1923, and vampires have existed for quite a while. But now, the number of vampires is increasing, and a mysterious artificial blood source called Askra has appeared. End quote. I'm sorry, not end quote. The Japanese government in turn creates Code Zero, a new soda, no way, a unit within the army tasked with taking down the vampiric forces. And what better way to track vampires than by using vampires? End quote. Ooh, yes. So sounds fun, sounds interesting. We'll see where that goes. Yeah. Come on, there we go. Back to the more usual manga inspirations. Kadokawa announced this week that Take's Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out manga is inspiring a TV anime. Set to premiere in July, the anime will be directed by Kazuya Miura at Engi. The manga originally launched on Nico Nico in December 2017 and ranked in the top 20 web manga list at 2018's Sugi Nikiru Manga Awards. Kadokawa publishes the print volumes in Japan, and they're published by Seven Seas in English. Seven Seas describes the manga's storyline as follows, saying, quote, Sakurai Shinichi's one wish is for a little peace and quiet, but Uzaki Hana, his boisterous and well-endowed underclassman, has other plans. All she wants to do is hang out and poke fun at him. With the help of her chipper charm and peppy persistence, this might just be the start of a beautiful relationship, end quote. I've actually seen some reviews of this and said it's actually like a really charming sort of, story of a guy and a girl and all that kind of stuff. This is set to debut this summer, so if it sounds like your kind of thing, definitely keep an eye out. Sounds like my kind of thing, I will say. Sounds fun.
A nice summer watch.
Nice summer watch, absolutely. For Japanese web manga to Korean web manga, the Korean fantasy adventure webtoon Tower of God will be getting a TV anime adaptation. The anime is already in development and is set to premiere already this spring. That's pretty soon. The show's official Japanese website opened this week, featuring a key image and a description of the storyline. Quote, if you climb the tower, you will get everything. At the top of the tower, there is everything in the world, and you can get this world. Become a god. This is a story about the beginning and end of Laheru, a girl who climbs the tower to see stars, which I think you can see anywhere else, and Yoru, a boy who doesn't need anything if he can have her. End quote. Yeah.
That's touching.
The manga has been serialized on Korea's Naver webtoon service since 2010, and has also been available on the Japanese Line manga app since 2018. It's been translated into 28 different languages, and has collected more than 4.5 billion views worldwide. This is why it's getting an anime. Let's see here. Meanwhile, this week's chapter of My Hero Academia revealed the real name of a villain and has caused quite a backlash. The real name of villain Daruma Ujiko was revealed as Maruta Shiga. The name references brutal human experimentation that took place during World War II, as the Chinese victims were referred to as Maruta or logs due to the facility's cover as a lumber mill.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Unit 731.
Manga creator Kohei Horikoshi issued an apology on social media, stating he did not intend for the name to be associated with those things and will change it going forward. Shueisha also issued a formal apology and promised the character's name would be changed in future chapters and volume releases. In other words, the name will be changed going forward, and reprints and so forth will change the name. The name was understandably very poorly received in China. The manga was removed entirely from digital manga service Tencent Comics, and Bilibili also removed both the manga and the anime from its websites. Prior to the anime's removal, its Bilibili page received an influx of negative reviews, which dropped its rating all the way down to a 3.7 out of 10. The series' upcoming mobile game was being developed by a Chinese studio called Xinhuan. The company has not issued any official statement yet, but the game has been removed from its TapTap Studio page. Ouch. So maybe that wasn't the best idea on their part.
Crazy
But
how just fan backlash can lead to the changing of the IP.
yeah, no kidding. That is nuts. On to lighter news for this week. We've been hearing a lot about Demon Slayer ever since its release, and this week brings another amazing accomplishment for the franchise. Volume 19 of the manga series was released this week and topped Amazon's best-selling manga list. Now, that in itself is not surprising, but not only did the Demon Slayer manga take slot number 1, it also took slots 2 through 18. Yep, nearly the entire top 20 manga list on Amazon Japan is Demon Slayer. The only reason all 19 volumes aren't on the list is because Volume 18's been on back order since it was released. And so due to that, it's only number 26.
Wow.
You know, number 19 on the list after every possible Demon Slayer volume is the final limited edition of Hiromu Arakawa's Silver Spoon. And number 20 is volume 13 of the quintessential quintuplets, which I would not expect those to be so high up. It's interesting. The 19th volume released on February 4th and has sold more than 40 million copies so far, both print and digital. So, yeah, I think we've found a big new franchise here. Moving on to some news from the Ghibli Park. Yes, that's right. They're making a Studio Ghibli Park. In case you needed some motivation to save for a trip to Japan,
Yes.
Studio Ghibli released more details this week about their planned Ghibli Park, along with concept illustrations for 2 more of the theme park's main areas. And I don't know about you, if I wasn't going already, I'd be going based off this. The first area touched on was the Ghibli no Daisuko area, or the giant Ghibli storehouse. The first concept illustration shows a section of the area that recreates the restaurant district from the film Spirited Away, which, oh man, like, yes, please. And then the second illustration, which I don't think I have here, shows another part of the Ghibli no Daisuko area, with the yellow building serving as a 170-seat mini theater and a permanent exhibit of some sort. We'll have to see where that goes. The second area to get new concept art is the Seishun no Oka area, or the Hill of Youth, which shows an overview of the area, which will also contain the cat's office area from the film The Cat Returns. So you'll be able to go into, yes, his little office. That's pretty awesome. And then we get another view of the area's elevator structure, which takes design motifs from both Castle in the Sky and Howl's Moving Castle. So yes, this sounds like it's going to be, yeah, this will be the Ghibli Park of your dreams.
Why don't we get stuff like that?
I know.
No. Both of these areas, as well as the Dondoko Forest area, are set to open in fall of 2022, so you have time to wait. Followed by the Mononoke Village, and Witch Valley a year later. The staff projects about 1 million visitors a year for those first 3 areas, and 1.8 million once the full park is opened. The surrounding area is also undergoing construction, adding 1,500 parking spots and traffic control measures in anticipation of the influx of visitors. I think that is wise. This is gonna be nuts, folks. This is gonna be quite
You
interesting.
know they're gonna have 500,000 people opening day.
Yeah,
They're
that's
gonna
gonna
show
be
up.
it's gonna be
There's gonna be
crazy.
folks in there.
Last up this week, the Pokemon Company is gearing up for Worldwide Pokemon Day on February 27th, the day the original Pokemon games debuted back in 1996, along with special events taking place in the various Pokemon video games. The 27th will see the release of the new CG movie Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, which remakes the very first animated movie from back in 1998, because why not? Leading up to the celebration,
Money.
Pokemon
Great movie.
Pokemon is holding an official contest to determine Pokemon of the Year. Voting is open through Google until February 14th. Simply search Pokemon Vote on Google, and you'll be presented with a voting ballot featuring 8 different categories, one for each major region. Fans can cast 1 vote per day in each region. The candidates are listed by national dex number and include every currently discovered Pokemon up through the most recent Galar region. That's a long list. The official website tells us to look forward to more Pokemon Day updates and events, including, quote, the big reveal of a special newly discovered Pokemon, end quote. So Pokemon fans, go support your favorites in the Pokemon of the Year vote and enjoy all the month's festivities. That has been the news for this week. Thank you all for watching.
I want to see Mewtwo live
And guess what?
in concert.
I didn't record any of that.
You did not.
Yeah, it all went on stream. That's fine. No worries.
Live? Is it live?
Cut that out.
Is it
It's not Emrex.
Yeah, exactly. Switch
Oh,
back
man.
to main.
The best news show ever.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the trailer for the new Pokemon Mewtwo movie?
No.
It looks wild.
Interesting.
It almost, the way that they did the CG, it almost looks like claymation or something.
Oh.
The like texturing of the characters
Yeah.
and the way they. It looks like they're like set apart from the setting more than it usually
Okay,
does, like
yeah.
in CG.
From the
Mhm.
background?
Right,
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
background.
Okay.
So the
yeah.
multi-plane camera
Interesting.
effect where
It has-
they're closer to you.
Yeah,
Yes.
it almost
Mm.
has a very like stop
Yeah.
motion-ish kind of feeling to it.
They
I
know
mean, even
Not
in
to hold
just
still
the-
to be photographed.
Yeah.
Um,
They're so well
well,
trained.
back in the Fleischer cartoons did that thing where they would like build clay models in the background and then like put the cells in front of it so they could like have something moving in the background, like rotating
Right.
over the things. So I wonder if it was inspired by that too or something. I don't
I don't
know.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all
interesting.
for. I'll consume anything Pokemon that they release, and they put out so many movies. Like, every year I think it's
Pokemon Percocet. Y'all have
But
some
this,
Yeah.
but this particular
Pokemon Prozac?
movie
Sure.
looks just wildly different. If you haven't seen the
Yeah.
trailer, go check it out.
It looks very
Well, it's just
yes.
yes, stylistically, because
Mm.
like I don't know about your generation, but everyone young.
Where's the sad trombone?
Thank
Turned
God.
off.
Quick, cut the camera.
Yeah.
Has seen
Black
has
shows
seen
up
that
everywhere.
original YouTube Pokemon movie with the Pokemon
Yeah.
crying at the end and
Mm.
brother.
Just crying. Punching me.
And this looks shot for shot. Look, it's like exactly like that. But if they were like claymation, and it's just like,
Wow.
well, that's different.
Yeah.
And so I will see it.
Mhm.
Just watching the trailer, I'm like, that's interesting, but it looks so different.
I
Mhm.
wonder how that's going to be accepted because sometimes when creative endeavors take a different path, like
Well,
there's a different
type of music.
Where is it?
You'll see their
Netflix.
popularity go from 10 to 3.7.
Yeah, exactly.
For example.
Some fans dive off and new fans come because the novelty.
And
Well, I think
Pokemon-
with something like Pokemon, that's probably going to be less the case. I think
Mm.
people who like Pokemon know they like Pokemon
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well, and Pokemon's in a weird spot because they are very much executing on a formula.
Right.
Pokemon is a very specific thing, and they don't like to change that formula too much.
But recently, that has changed a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
This-
The most recent seasons,
Just recently.
Yeah.
just recently, it's
Mm.
changed a lot.
Okay.
They've totally redesigned the way Ash Ketchum looks.
Oh,
They've
that's true.
taken very much a more, frankly, it looks more anime now. They do a lot more stylistic things, like with the faces and the eyes. I mean, it's always been a cartoon and a kid's show. Or
Sure,
like
yeah.
they've always done like weird things,
Mhm.
but even more so now. Well, I'm not gonna say maybe they made it more anime now,
Mhm.
but they have updated the
Gotcha.
style to
Yeah.
more updated anime. And so, like, if you're used to the original series, I'm like,
Yeah.
I watched it growing up as a kid,
Mhm.
and I see it now. It's just like this looks nothing like what I know
Mhm.
Pokemon to be. And it's like,
Fair.
hey, maybe that's great for modern audiences.
Yeah.
It looks weird to me, but I'm not the active consumer of that at the moment.
Well, and they also have this weird thing that Pokemon is very much a kids franchise in Japan. Like they know they have an adult audience, obviously, but it's primarily aimed at that audience. And you have to keep that fresh, right? Like
1996 was that when it first?
The
yeah,
games. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, they gotta. Oh, that's my dad's Pokemon.
Yeah, they're age based.
Totally.
Now starting to have children.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when I was watching it, I was in second grade,
Wow.
something like that. When I was seeing the original episodes with Ash catching his Caterpie and stuff like that.
Yeah. I may have mentioned this before. I caught a dev diary about them upgrading from hand drawn to CG, and how they had to spend a lot of time to make the CG not CG as in CGI, but CG as in computer colored, to make it not
Illustrated.
look like it was computer illustrated, to exactly match precisely the way it looked before, because they're like, we don't want the kids to suddenly go, what's
That
going on
shock.
here,
Just
right?
yeah.
So it's interesting that now they can kind of
Yeah.
reverse that a little bit and change it around.
For the new crop of children to be sucked into the Pokemon hole.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Pokeballs.
It works.
If you're sucked into a hole,
Gonna catch all the children.
This is true. Yes, yes. That is a good hole to get sucked into.
Little
That's not a
children
phrase I
whose
want to
parents have
say.
money to catch 'em all.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Pokemon Company, I think, is like one of like the highest producing companies like on the planet. Like in terms of franchises, I'm pretty sure Pokemon even beats out like Disney.
Yes. Pokemon is one of has made like more money off of Pokemon out of almost like every other company in the world. Ever.
Park.
Yeah.
Which for some reason we don't have.
I know.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's in
Yeah.
development somewhere. I wonder when Toys R Us went down the tubes,
Mm.
whether there was a noticeable blip in sales, at least obviously for the American market. I
Yeah.
don't know to what degree Toys R Us was international markets too.
Yeah.
You know, I worked there for like 3 years.
Really?
I
I
loved it.
know
Imagine.
that.
And there was tons of Pokemon stuff.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I ran the electronics section, so
Nice.
selling video
That
games
sounds so
and
cool.
trying to. Specifically, I started there. I got hired there at Christmas time because that's when they started hiring people.
Yeah.
And got to be
Seasonal.
I started seasonal and got taken on full time or whatever. But I got to be the person that's standing there trying to explain to the parents that, if your kid is writing misspelled letters to Santa, maybe don't buy him Call of Duty. Is it bad?
The voice of reason.
Yeah.
Is it a bad game? No, it's rated M, and so I'm not allowed to sell it to you if you're not over 18 years of age. Well, what's it about? Well, you shoot people. you shoot a lot of people.
It's very violent.
Not just people, a lot of people.
Oh, really? Is there like a lot of blood and stuff like that? Yeah. But if your son likes or daughter likes it, maybe Halo. It's like, well, they at least shoot an alien. Oh, but I have all
equally violent
sorts of
spray of blood and guts, but it's alien blood.
That's alien
guts.
alien guys.
Perfect.
Yes, that's
Alien
not
guys
it's
don't
not
count.
human.
Yeah,
Right.
Aliens.
Oh, but I have so many stories.
Wait a
It's like
minute.
I had this one lady come in asking me if she could buy the new Asians Creed.
Asians Creed.
Hopefully
I love
everyone
it.
out there knows what Assassin's Creed is. And I would literally have parents come in with their letters to Santa and give them to me, just the
wow.
random
That's
person.
funny. Can you
Just
give
that's
this
what
to
this
Jeff or
letter
Giraffe?
Yeah.
It's seriously just a person working at the register, like, hey, can you help me?
Yeah.
And one of them was Asians Creed. And my favorite story was this woman who was convinced that their child
Pressure.
wanted a Wii down. And I'm like, a Wii
A
down?
wee down.
What the heck is a Wii down? And she's like, that's what they want. They want the Wii down. I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's a Wii under. Wii under? Can you tell me, like, what did they say? It's like, I like my video games. I
Yeah.
generally feel like I know what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
when she's asking me for the Wii down, I'm like, I'm sorry, this doesn't exist.
Yeah.
We
Well,
have We Are the World.
well, so she shows me her list, and it's this little thing, paper written by some kid that's we, and then an arrow pointing down to these games. The kid wants for the Wii.
Oh,
And so the
my
parents
goodness.
are like, I
For
need
the
a
games
Wii
for the Wii
down.
We don't.
Where is the any key on my keyboard?
Exactly, yeah. I follow some guys online. They were talking about Christmas memories with video games, and they one of those things where they wrote a letter to Santa asking for a video game, and it was asking for like Call of Duty, but they actually got like some other World War II game, and well, it wasn't that because they were younger, but they got it on Christmas and opened it up, and they said, "Oh, Santa got me the wrong game." And the parent was like, "Oh, what did you actually want?" And he explained. They said, "Oh, Santa made a mistake. We'll go back to the store and exchange it." And so he went to the store, and they took it up. And as they were exchanging it, the kid was like, "Wait, did Santa go to Toys R Us?"
So two and now that little rosy image in their head explodes in a little shower of confetti and becomes a dark cloud.
Like the meme of the lady's face and all the math things on top of it. Like,
So the kid says this, and his mother said, "Yes, honey." And he said, "Oh, okay." And totally believed it. Like, okay, sure, I guess Santa goes to Toys R Us. Makes sense.
where do you think Santa goes to? Elves? That.
They're Chinese toys imported to this company that Santa shops at. Wow.
Yeah.
I was gonna hope you were gonna say something like he asked for a Call of Duty and it was long enough ago that he got like typing assist.
Right.
I want that. It's like here's typing assist for DOS systems.
Yeah.
What?
Word star.
The
Word star. Oh man.
How's that for a throwback?
Well, speaking of on the same show, they were going through the top 20 best-selling games of the 2010s of the last decade. I think 12 of them were Call of Duties.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
I think
Yeah.
it's a top 20, and I think
Yeah.
more are Call of
Oh,
Duty.
really? Yeah.
'Cause I think the only other things on the list is like GTA 5,
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. It was 18 of them, and then those two. You're right. That was that. Yeah. It's like that's.
GTA 5 and Red
Never
Dead
made it on
Redemption.
there.
So
Yeah.
does that beat
People who
Solitaire?
play
that
video
comes with
games really
Windows?
like it.
Is that Minesweeper not on the list?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is the greatest office productivity software there ever has been.
the fall of Toys R Us, like that hits hard.
That's-
Like,
That's
Yeah.
like a passing of an
Yeah.
empire.
well, because like what
generation.
other place do we have to go to? Like we don't have any other
No.
toy
There
stores.
are no
Yeah.
other
Right.
stores.
We can go.
K&B. Are they
No,
still around?
K&B is gold.
Yeah.
K&B is gone?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they
That's
died.
hella
They
gone,
died
man.
like they died like
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Pros and cons of time travel.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
But it's like okay, so we have like Target, we have Walmart.
Yeah.
Walmart's not really. I mean, it has. But
They
it's
have
I'm
a
not
toy
saying they have a
section.
toy section.
Yeah, that's true.
But there's not a
Yeah.
toy store.
I've
Nope.
seen more mom and pop game shops around than.
Right.
That's true. Yeah. Fair number of those.
But those are more game design.
yeah,
They're not,
board games and that kind of
they're
stuff.
not
Well, the recent
just
one we got,
miscellaneous
what's the one that's over on Campbell or Salem? It's near Big Lick.
Hmm.
It's like a magic.
Oh, yeah.
well,
we
there
have
are
3.
There are specific game stores,
Mhm.
but I mean,
Yeah.
those will specify.
Because I mean, that's
Those are
all it
games.
is that's
Yeah.
just a
Those are
game
games.
store.
Yeah.
It
They'll
does
specialize in,
magic,
like-
it does
Oh,
board
you have the
games.
Magic the Gathering store, you have the Warhammer 40k plays,
Yeah.
and then
The board game, tabletop game.
the board
Yeah.
game and D&D
Mhm.
place.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you can go to those places and you will have toys.
Yeah.
Aspiration
But-
figures.
Mhm.
But where do you go to get your baby toys, your Power Rangers, and your My Little Ponies?
Your Pokemon toys.
Amazon.com.
My tablet.
The internet.
Yeah, exactly.
That or
I don't want my 6-year-old just scrolling through Amazon or whatever. So you could take them to Toys R Us.
Hey,
Like, oh, look,
Mom
do you
and
see
Dad,
anything
I
you
want a
want?
Super Sonic
Grab
figure.
the box.
Oh, no, you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
You
no, no,
can't
no.
do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does Amazon assemble bicycles?
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably.
Oh,
Yes.
what don't they
Give it a year and they'll just be airdropping drones,
Yeah.
flying,
Drone
the
delivery.
bike in,
Santa's using
drop it
drones.
on-
Yes, he
Yeah.
is.
Red and white
Well,
drones.
I'm about to say the future of the Rudolph
I would
story
be
is
surprised.
just the
It's a
drones.
drone with a
Rudolph
blinking
the
light.
drone.
Yeah.
The drone. Rudolph is coming, look!
And there's Jeff Bezos in the sleigh. Give me all your money. It's Santa Bezos. He's come to deliver toys to all the good boys and girls.
It will make the fantasy so much easier, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, yes,
Just
just
cut
cut
out
this
the
guy.
middleman.
Yeah.
We construct that.
Heard it here
Bezos.
first, folks.
Yeah.
The
The
Bezos
archaeology
Club.
t-shirts with
Yep.
Rudolph the drone on the front.
Rudolph the red drone reindeer.
Hey, there we go.
I love it.
Drone
Yeah.
deer.
Little flashing light on the front, yeah.
Right now, somebody in the Amazon drone department is sitting there going,
Yeah. Sorry, I left. I can't help you with that. Yeah, so I'm sorry.
I love it.
Yeah.
we claim all rights and any royalties, etc. from any of that.
Mhm. Yeah, because that'll work against Amazon.
Yeah.
Are we still doing chat?
First and
Yes, and just folks are just saying hi and stuff.
Hi, folks.
Hey,
Yep.
folks.
We said hi to
We're
everybody.
asking questions.
I think we have. We
Guys,
have.
with the card. Oh, we want to live vicariously through you. Okay. Control me. Send me out.
Yeah, you want to
Cool.
ask if there's something here?
We had a GoPro.
Yeah.
We'd hook you up to the GoPro and
Wouldn't
send
it
you
be
off
fun?
into the
No,
crowd.
just a little
You know.
camera. This is
Yeah.
Star City. Okay, it's been a fun 5 minutes. Bye, guys.
Not to
And
turn this back to
done.
Sword Art Online. Not to turn into a conversation about Sword Art Online, but you do
Well,
have the
Sword
first
Art
time on the
Online.
Silver GoPro.
Yeah, there we
Live
go.
floor streaming.
Mhm.
I
love
walk
that.
into
That
the
would be
dealer's
fun.
room.
Mhm.
Look
I
at
would
my
watch
chest.
that.
That's where my GoPro
I
is.
wonder if you'd have to like put a sign on you because like they won't let you take pictures of the
Yeah.
sword
Yeah,
maker's
that's the problem.
product.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That makes sense
Yeah,
artistically.
because
Yeah.
he's
Like,
made some of his own subas for the
Well, yeah,
swords
but
and
still,
stuff.
he won't let
So
you
he
take
doesn't.
pictures?
He said already. He's like, these are my works of art, and I don't want anybody to copy them.
yeah,
So I don't like anybody taking pictures.
it can be
He
very
really
different.
thinks that many
Yeah.
people at the Anime Con
Yeah.
are going to look at that and be like, I'm going to go home and make
Well,
that.
these
Yeah.
days,
I
all
could
you have to
3D
do is
print
take
one
a
of
picture,
those.
post it,
Oh.
and then somebody will make it.
Yeah.
Somebody
also,
sees it
Etsy.
online.
Etsy. All you have to do is show something on Etsy, they make it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Again,
that's,
I
it's
mean-
not a massive problem, but it does happen.
well, that was
How
very
many
specifically
people
when
out
he
there
said
are
he
going to
had
be like,
the
oh,
subas.
look at that picture. I'm going to go make that out of Damascus steel, too.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Etsy.
I did honestly. I had that comment because he said Friday he was bringing the subas that he bought and some others. And I asked him today, I'm like, oh, did you bring them? He's like, well, it's not really much of a point to bring them in.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, no, these are all that you made. He's like, oh, no, some of these are some of the ones that I've gotten from Japan. He said, the ones I make, I will not show anyone. I'm like, well, why? He's like, because they'll copy them. I'm like, oh, you're worried about a picture and then a 3D print and then somebody
Wow.
making a mold of the image and then casting it themselves. I'm like, I gotcha. He said, yes, this is all my work product.
That's,
I'm not giving this away. I'm like,
but
I
see,
gotcha.
that just
Mhm.
seems extreme. Because
Mhm.
I was also talking to the guy today because I
Mhm.
heard what you said last night. And so he's showing me this and that and the other, because I'm showing some interest.
Yeah.
And then he has that katana up there. And so I was asking him about it. and he wouldn't even let me see it.
Yeah.
I asked him about it. He would not let me see it.
Wow.
I
And
brought
so-
this here so you can't look at
Well,
it.
Right.
exactly. That's my
Yeah.
point. And
Well,
so I was
he
like,
moved
so what
it
about that?
today.
I'm like,
He
so what
moved
about that? What about that up there? He's like, oh, that's a $20,000 sword. I'm like,
Has
Okay.
it tasted blood?
well, no, it was just that. It was, oh, well, that's a $20,000 sword. It's like, okay. So why do you have it on display? Do you think that many people come into Star City are ready to drop $20K on a sword?
Where's the guy we're gonna knock all over the head?
Well, it's like-
yeah, let's all of us go down and surround the sword guy with our
Well,
bare hands. Give us your sword, okay?
I was like, clearly you're not going to sell it to me. Can
Yeah.
you show it to me? And it's like, he offered nothing. He's like, oh, that's a $20,000 sword. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, cool.
Mhm.
What's the story behind that? Oh, that's mine.
Well, you have to remember, he's been answering that same question every
Yeah.
Well, why did
5
he bring
minutes.
it?
Yeah.
I'm here
I
showing
just happen
interest
to
in
have a
something he has at his
$20,000
stand.
bill in my pocket.
Yeah.
Those don't exist.
Yeah,
they
they
do,
do.
but I'm not gonna show it to
Well,
you.
Well, today's the
Yeah,
day.
exactly.
That's
Have you ever heard of the
exactly-
internet? You can print them off there.
That's exactly how much I wanted to spend today. Can I see it? I was just like, well, why tell me that? Why put it up there?
Right.
Cheese,
Yeah.
you cheese.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. I mean, you met Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron
Yeah.
makes.
Amazing.
Aaron's a friend of ours who
Yeah.
makes custom-made swords.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, he does
And like
everything.
amazing.
and
Yeah.
and
Nicks
and
and
they
dings and
comply
battle armor
with a lot of
radiation
the
stuff, yeah.
convention requirements
Mhm.
because you can't have a lot of conventions. They have restrictions about certain types of
Yeah,
objects. Of course,
steel,
live
yeah.
steel is
Mhm.
like one of the most common ones.
Right.
But the technique that he uses makes it look like metal, but it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Huh.
really does very fine,
Mhm.
detailed
Yeah.
work, and has been approached for these things being used for movie
Yeah.
props
Yeah.
and custom design. And because he goes through all the process to make them, I think he loses money on them sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah.
Because it's
But
a very
it's the
labor-intensive
publicity from
process.
it?
Mhm.
Or-
But it's
Well,
just the
Yeah. The thing is,
fun, the glory, the
Yeah.
so these are
excitement.
multi-$1,000 swords because it takes them like 80 to 120 hours to make each one.
Right.
And
I think,
so
I think the
they
guy with
look
the
like
$20,000
it.
sword, I think
Yeah.
he was saying, it was like, oh, I have 150 hours in that sword. I'm like,
Mhm. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Can I see it?
Well, and this is the
How much
thing.
is
No,
that per hour?
that one he had 576 hours.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
He
Yeah.
shared that Friday. Where
Okay.
I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
But as I said, by the time you hit Saturday, he's answered that question, told that story
Mhm.
to everybody
gotten
coming
tired
through
of
there,
it.
and he's just like, now the shortcut is 20 grand. You have it? No, get out.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know.
Because he's not making
Yeah.
money today. This time, I can guarantee you.
Mhm.
Not from Florida.
Yeah. That's the weird thing is you'll get somebody who sells higher ticket items and they will go knowing I'm not going to make a sale this weekend, but I will have contacts with enough people
Oh.
that I will sell 5 swords over the next 3 months for people signing my websites and other stuff. So they'll card everything in, set up, and then just kind of
Go
pump
through the process of that.
pump
This
the
is the
audience.
handshaking and baby kissing part of this.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Mhm. Yeah, because no one's gonna drop the money now.
Yeah.
But you'll
Right.
save up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Poor con
yeah.
goers. That one's $350.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Got that
Well,
in my
I-
other
But
Leah
I would
card,
not
I'll be back.
He would not bring a $20,000 sword and just say, whatever.
Well, as we were talking about this, we had some couple beside us that bought 2 swords for like $350 or something like that. I was just like,
Mhm.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what.
That's what your credit card is for.
Yeah.
Because it's 30 days, then the pain.
Right.
There's like this guy buying a sword and his girlfriend or something like that who was getting one. He's just like, oh, you gonna keep that at my house? No, I'm gonna keep it at my house. What if somebody barges in? I was like, oh gosh. So that's how these
I'm
sword
gonna use it.
stands make their
Yeah,
money.
I'm not
Right out of the
qualified to
package,
use
I
anything
haven't
like
trained
that.
with it, but I'm gonna.
Yeah.
There was a martial arts instructor who was demonstrating with a katana in Russia, and
Mm.
there was sort of a viral video of him removing his own toe by mistake.
Oh.
I mean, that's not the kind of thing that you want to like wait till you're in an emergency situation
Yeah.
to train with because they're so sharp.
Yeah.
They'll cut
Yeah.
Oh.
So these guys in Modern Rogue, they tested a pepper gun.
Like pepper
Is it the
spray?
one that
Like
fires the
pepper
whole-
spray
Okay.
that fires, essentially
Oh,
paintball.
Yes.
Oh,
bullets
okay,
of
okay.
pepper.
Kept saying something.
And they said, here's the problem. So they fired it and said, it is definitely effective, like it does its thing. Here's the problem. Imagine somebody's breaking into your house. How far away are they going to be when you fire this thing at them?
Across the kitchen.
Yeah, is it going to be 100 yards away? No.
Oh my goodness.
It's going to
now
be
my
fairly
house
close
is
to you,
filled with.
And so you fire at him, and you're not going to fire once. You're going to unload the clip at him, and now your house is full of pepper spray.
I can't stay there. I'm gonna go out with the criminals.
Yeah, that's the thing is you're going to get completely overwhelmed immediately as well. You're not going to be able to do anything.
And now you'll all be stumbling around.
Right,
blind.
exactly. And he's got a knife, and you don't.
I have a story about that actually.
Oh.
Because
Stumbling around the kitchen, blinded by pepper spray.
you
No,
joke.
nice.
Wow.
You joke.
You joke, but let me tell you about the Roanoke County Jail.
No,
Okay.
I had a
There we go.
just I don't know sometime
Breaking
at
and
the
entering
end
for
of
some
high
reason.
school or for my first degree, my mom or dad or something like that gave me like a little can of pepper spray, and I
Oh, no.
had it for years,
Mm.
like 2-3 years, something like that, until I finally moved here to Virginia. We got to our first place, something like that. We're living in our apartment. You're doing the thing where you're unpacking all the boxes, like, okay, what can I throw away? And one of the things is this can of pepper spray.
Mhm.
And I'm standing there, it's just like, okay, well, I'm never gonna use this.
Does
Let's
this
throw-
thing even work?
Yeah.
Is it effective?
let's throw this thing away. Well, what does it actually work like? Because okay, well I'm gonna throw this away. Maybe I'll go get a new one. So I take it. It's like, okay, well here's the trash can. I don't know, just spray it in the freaking trash can just to see what happens. It's like, okay, that's pepper spray. Throw it away. Within minutes. Within moments. Moments. You're just kind of like. It's just like not sprayed at me. Not sprayed
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
just in the room.
Wow.
In the kitchen.
Wow.
Just
Yeah.
into the trash can. It's like, oh, that's cool. He throws it away, then keeps going back to my business.
And then there's all this snot that's coming out, running down. You're like,
Wife gets home. What happened? So, honey, I decided to unload some pepper spray into the garbage can. And don't do that. So, it's effective. Sprayed into the face. Woo!
Yeah.
have to throw
Oh.
away the
Because
trash.
this was because this is 3 years old pepper spray or something like that.
Yeah, it's
Sprayed
not gonna
into
be
a
very
garbage can and then thrown away. And then
Dang.
just proximity, like
Yeah.
can't breathe. Like what the heck happened? Oh jeez.
Well, your garbage men must love you.
Okay, let's get the next. I held that.
keep thinking, the hell's wrong with this man?
I just love to see the anime montage of this garbage bag being passed off.
Yeah.
The guys
The driver up in the front.
the guy
Oh, when they do the compactor part of it. So that the guys, you hear the guys in the back, the guys driving like, oh, what's the matter with those guys back there?
I can just see that. Oh, this is awful. Seal it in a bag, throw it away, and that's the guy that's the guys hanging on the back.
Yeah. So that's my pepper spray story.
Okay. There we go. And on that note, I think we're going to close it out for the evening.
The spicy.
Yes, spicy, very
On that
spicy,
note-
peppery evening. Thank you all so much for joining us. This has been great. Appreciate having you all around. That has been it for this week. I do not believe I'll be able to stream next week. I'll be at Katsukon. I have plans Saturday evening. But I should be back in 2 weeks to have more fun with y'all. So hope you will all enjoy that. Hope you all enjoy a week off. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Take care.
Sweet.
Have a good one.
Thanks
Watch
for
more
joining
anime.
us.
Bye.
Bye.